This week, I showed you how to unlock the bootloader of any smartphone from the Samsung Galaxy A series, and today we'll continue with this phone and show you how to gain root access to it. Before we can begin, though, we're going to need to have some things set up ahead of time. For example, we can't root the phone without unlocking the bootloader first. So if you haven't followed that tutorial yet, be sure to check the video description below and you'll find a link to a guide I did specifically for that task. Once you have unlocked the bootloader, you're then going to need to download the firmware that matches what is currently on your device. I use a program called Freya to do this, but you'll need to know both the model number as well as the CSC region code in order to grab the correct firmware. If you're not familiar with how any of that is done, again, check the video description below, as I have already covered this in previous videos here on the channel. It is important to download a firmware that is compatible with your device. So I almost always recommend downloading the firmware for the same model and region code that is already on your smartphone. Now, once you have downloaded that firmware, it needs to be extracted as well. Now, after that firmware has been downloaded, you're then going to need to extract the contents of that file. I did this with a program called 7-Zip on the PC, and when I do, it puts out 5 different files. These were the 5 files that were included in the single firmware file download that I grabbed. And then we needed to take the file that begins with the letters AP and copy this file back to our Samsung Galaxy A series smartphone. This root tutorial will work on the Samsung Galaxy A13, like I have right here, and it will also work on the Galaxy A23, the Galaxy A33, the Galaxy A53, and the Galaxy A73 smartphones, as long as the bootloader has been unlocked first. So now that we have the required AP firmware file on the smartphone, we're going to need to patch it with the help of an application called Magisk. I downloaded Magisk from the official GitHub page, like you should, and you'll find that link in the video description as well. So once we have Magisk installed, we're going to open it up, and we need to tap the install button associated with the Magisk binary. It's going to ask us to select and patch a file, which will then take us to a file picker or a file browser. So if you need to browse to wherever you transferred that AP file, you can see it's right here. So we're going to select that AP firmware file within Magisk. When you're ready, we're going to go ahead and tap Let's Go. And you're going to see all of the work that the Magisk application is doing to that AP file. That AP file is a compressed file as well, and it contains a lot of smaller files, such as the boot image, the super image, the recovery image, and more. So we're going to let Magisk extract the files that it needs, and then it's going to start patching those files that it needs in order to work. The amount of time this process takes will depend on which device of the Galaxy A series you have. The Galaxy A13 is a rather slow device, so it will take a little bit longer than, for example, the Galaxy A53. We're just going to wait and we're going to be patient. You can follow along with the log files here. We're just going to wait until Magisk patches this file and then creates a Magisk_patched file. You can see exactly where it's being put, which should be where you transferred that AP file to. And once this says all done, we're then going to connect the phone back to the PC so that we can transfer this Magisk_patched file to our computer. After that patched firmware file has been copied back to our PC, we're then going to need to boot the device into download mode, which you can see we're going to be using the USB method right here. Again, if you're not familiar with how to boot into download mode, be sure to check the video description below, as I have previously covered that as well. After we pressed up to bypass the download mode splash screen, you can see we have the patched file right here. If you haven't done so already, you're going to need to download Odin, which you can find the download link in the video description as well. Odin needs to be downloaded and extracted, and then we open the program up, and it should look like this. With our Samsung Galaxy A device connected, you should see that Odin does detect it, and it is listed in one of these blocks here. And we're going to be loading the files into Odin here. So first we're going to click the BL file, the BL button, and then we're going to locate the firmware file here that begins with the letters BL. Then we're going to click the CP file right here, and we're going to select the firmware file that begins with the letters CP. We're going to do the same with the CSC button right here. And we're going to be selecting the regular CSC file, not the home_CSC file, just the regular CSC file. Now you should know that if this is the first time you're rooting the phone with Magisk, you're going to need to be doing a factory data reset. This whole process of flashing the files with Odin is going to erase everything on your phone. So if you haven't done so already, back up as much important data as you can, and then come back here and finish up with the tutorial. So lastly, we're going to click the AP button right here, but instead of loading up the regular AP firmware file, we're going to be selecting the Magisk_patched firmware file. So we have added the BL file, the CP file, the CSC file, and the Magisk_patched version of the AP file. You can see the options that we have selected right here. And when you're ready, again, we have our Galaxy A13 in download mode. It's connected to the PC with a USB cable. And when we're ready, we're going to click on the Start button at the bottom of Odin. So Odin is going to be taking the individual files from these compressed files, and it's going to be sending those files to our Galaxy A smartphone, and then writing those files to the appropriate partition. Just like before, the amount of time that this will take will likely depend on which Galaxy A smartphone you have. If you have a slower one like I do, with a slow storage hardware, then it's going to take a little bit longer than, say, the Galaxy A73, which supports much faster storage. Either way, we're just going to be patient here. We're not touching the phone. We're not touching the USB cable. We're keeping the connection stable, and we're letting Odin flash and install the required files to our device. And if you noticed, we have the auto reboot option selected. So once everything is done, as long as we do not get any errors, our Galaxy A smartphone will reboot on its own once everything completes. And we're going to be looking for a green pass message up here at the top left of Odin. You can see we have a progress bar right here, as well as a progress bar at the bottom of the screen of our device as well. After a couple minutes have passed, we can see the Galaxy A13 has rebooted, and we get a green pass message right here. As the phone boots back up, you're going to get this message right here at the top telling you that the phone is not running Samsung's official software, which is correct. We have just installed the Magisk binaries, which is, again, required in order to gain root access to this device. If you remember, flashing these files in Odin causes the device to do a factory data reset. So this first boot back into Android is going to take a little bit longer since the phone has to set everything back up again. Once you have noticed the phone reboot and it is in the process of booting back up like this, we can then safely remove the USB cable from the bottom of the device. And again, this boot cycle may take either more time or less time than you're seeing here. It just depends on the version, the variant of the Galaxy A that you have. And after a couple minutes, it's going to complete that boot and take us to the Android activation screen. I'm going to skip through most of this, get us back to the home screen, and then connect us to a Wi-Fi network. So after the phone has booted back up, again, I have connected the device to a Wi-Fi network. You can see it's still trying to finish the setup process. Now, if you do not see the Magisk application in your app drawer, we're going to go ahead and go back to the Magisk GitHub page. We're going to download that APK again. And we're going to open up that file. Since the phone has been reset, we will need to grant permission. To install that file. And once it has been installed, we can go ahead and open it up. Now, your first time opening up Magisk, you're going to get this message saying that it requires additional setup. So we're going to go ahead and tap on OK. And shortly after, we're going to be told that the phone is going to reboot in about 5 seconds. This is normal. This is what needs to be done in order for Magisk to complete the installation and for us to gain root access to this device. If you want, you can press the power key to bypass this screen, or if you wait 10 to 15 seconds, it will go away on its own. And again, we're going to see this red message each time we boot up if we have Magisk installed, because Magisk is not an official Samsung file. You'll see that it's much quicker to reboot this time, since the phone is not needing to go through the activation screen. And we have booted back into Android. So you can check the app drawer, make sure that you have a Magisk application installed, open it up to make sure that the Magisk application can detect the Magisk binary, which it can. You can see Magisk is detecting version 25.2 is installed. And just to confirm, we can go in to the Google Play Store, download the Root Checker application, and then open it up just to verify that we have root access. You could also use one of the many other root apps that you're wanting to install and use on the device. But a good quick way to check is to just open up Root Checker and tap the Verify Root option. If everything goes correctly, you're going to get this prompt right here, which you're going to need to grant root access so that the Root Checker app now has root access. So that is how we can gain root access to the entire Samsung Galaxy A series. Remember, this will work on all of those devices, including the Galaxy A13, like I have right here, the Galaxy A23, Galaxy A33, Galaxy A53, and the Galaxy A73, as long as the bootloader can be unlocked first.